Lovely soul. Empress here, Grand Rising. I'm doing this off my cell phone, like with a little ring on my phone. So bear with me, y'all. It's not my usual light. Did I bring my lighter out here? Yes, that would have sucked. Just give y'all a second. Let y'all come into the room. Because I don't want to have to repeat myself mostly. Trying to get this to stand. I should have probably used something to weigh it down. That's better. Okay. All right. So, most of my work that I do, besides what I do here on YouTube, which is the tarot readings, but I also, I have my own apothecary business where I do a lot of herbs and candle work. I make candles. I have my Reiki. Um, yeah. But the bulk of my business is teaching people how to manifest. And recently, I had been getting some synchronicities from Spirit about what they might want me to be divulging to my clientele. And at first, I think that I wasn't catching the synchronicities. And then I had a client who had an exercise that entailed them getting into, what was holding them back. And I gave them this assignment. And normally I give this assignment to all my clients who take my course. But this particular client wanted me to overlook, what her what she saw as her blockages. Let's just start with that. It's a little chilly tonight, so I'm out here with my throat. But the first thing I thought when she asked me that was like, wow, that's super personal, to share. It's one thing to share your healing, but it's hard to share your scars. So, I told her that she didn't necessarily have to share them with me, but then she decided to anyway. And when I read them, I felt like a lot of those same things I had. Okay. Then, like a couple days later, a colleague of mine, I work with a lot of people who are in my same industry or do the same type of work that I do. Um, and I had seen a post by somebody in the industry, and they were talking about their journey and children and sometimes when you have a child that is ill, how that affects the journey and why spirit puts you on this journey. And I felt like that was those two things happened in a matter of days from each other, and I felt like that in itself was a synchronicity. And then, like a few days later, I was talking to another colleague, and she was saying to me, she was like, maybe what you need to do is you need to tell your clientele, about your journey. And that way they can understand why either they resonate with you or why you were called to this or why you do what you do. And right when she said that, I knew that it was factual because of the other situations. Like this had all happened like within the span of a week. So then I thought about it and I was like, man, I'm Taurus. Okay, Taurus can be super personal. And I thought to myself, like, do I want to go there? Do I want to share all that is me? And I'm not going to lie, I had to, build myself up to that conversation internally to consider whether or not me being, the way that I am, whether 4:44 on the clock, whether I felt comfortable with that. And then I realized that that was the final part of my journey that I haven't taken. So here I am. I am going to share it with y'all. Okay. Um, It's probably why I resonate with so many of my clients, and why I really don't judge people on their journeys, because I've had a crazy journey myself. Okay. So, my first, let me just start off in saying that I was born in Hell's Kitchen. I've lived all in every borough of New York City except for Staten Island. Okay. Came from, semi, yeah, it was hood. It's a hood, you know. I come from the hood, man. It is what it is. I come from the fucking hood. Um, my mother's side of the family, she's second generation. For those of you who don't know what that means that her parents came here, but she was born here. Okay, my grandparents from my mother's side are Puerto Ricans, and on my father's side is Puerto Rican and Haitian. And my father's first generation, so he was born in Puerto Rico, and he was not born here in the stateside. Okay, so first generation on my father's side, and my mother is first generation on her side. Okay, so when that comes in your family, there's some expectations that are put on you. Okay, um, it looks like I'm getting some kind of notification, but I can't see what it is. It's gonna have to wait. So that the certain expectations are put on you. When I first started school, I lived with my grandparents and my mother, between the two. And my grandparents only spoke Spanish. So when I went to school, I was already fluent in both languages. Be honest with you, I really didn't fit in with a lot of the other kids. Okay, so like, back then, we're talking about, I'm telling on myself on my age, but I never hide it. I'm 50. It was just not that long after schools were integrated. Okay, there was still pretty pretty felt color lines. Let's just say that. And I had a tendency not to fit in any of those compartments. Okay, I was little. I fought all the fucking time, but I never could understand why I felt like different. When I was 5, I had my first spiritual experience. It was more like an attack, but it was my first spiritual experience. Um, and it's funny because my mother was visiting. She just left today, and that actually came up, and she fucking remembered it, and I didn't know that my mother could remember that shit. But yes, I was 5. Okay, I'll give you guys a brief. Tell you briefly what happened. We lived in an apartment building, and back then, almost every kid was a latchkey kid, meaning that, you were little and your parents would go to the store, do whatever, and you'd be in the house by yourself, and it wasn't no thing. What's good, Nelson? Nelson, I'm just kind of like giving my testimony. So if you missed the beginning, you can rewind it later. But I was just talking about my first spiritual attack or spiritual experience. I was 5. And so, anyway, my mother went to the store with my aunt, and we lived in an apartment building, and there was 2 elevators in that building. And it's funny enough, my uncle, who was going to my grandmother's house, was going up in the elevator, but he got stuck in the elevator. Because he got stuck in the elevator, my mother couldn't come back up because she was trying to like come back from the corner store. While this was happening, I was in the house by myself. Well, all the windows were closed, and every door and window, I mean every door slammed like there was a draft, but there was no fucking draft. You know what I'm saying? And I felt hands. And I started screaming, and I swear it was like my mother could hear me, okay? And it was kind of like because my uncle got stuck, that they never got really that far. But that was the first time that I remember, and I was a fucking kid. You know what I'm saying? As I got older, my step grandmother, who I was very close with, she's deceased now. I used to live with her, and she used to have one of those, those railroad apartments in New York City. Like it's like one room, you go through a hallway and you go through the whole apartment. Anyway, my bedroom was the first room that was adjacent to the front door. So my room was facing directly across the front door, and then there was a long fucking hallway that spanned the rest of the apartment. At the end of the hallway was the couch, and that's where my grandmother, yeah, that's where my grandmother used to sit on the couch every fucking day, and she could see anyone that was coming into the house. And so, when I would come in, she would always tell me like, "Who you talking to?" Or con quien tú anda, like who I'm walking with. And I'm like, yo, she's fucking bugging. Like, she just saw me come in here. Like, I was starting to think that she was losing her shit. Well, one night I had a crazy experience, and I'll get into that as well. But I had to come to her because of that crazy experience. And then the next day, she confessed why all those years she was always telling me, who was I talking to or whatever. She said that she could see the spirits walking with me, but I didn't fucking know, right? So, what happened to me that caused her to make that confession was, I was pretty much a trouble fucking teen. I'm not gonna paint you, flowers and roses, And I used to fucking hang out and stay out all fucking night and shit. And I remember one night I came back. There was a club in New York City called Heartthrobs. It was a teenagers club. I was 15, and I came home. This club was on 26th Street between 11th and 12th Avenue, and I came home and I had a big fucking digital clock, big fucking digital alarm clock. And I remember seeing on the clock 3 o'clock. That's when the fuck I laid down. I had this closet with sliding doors. It was like a hand, my stepfather had built it himself, basically. And the closet door was open. So I'm laying down and I seen like black smoke coming out the closet. Okay, and it's coming over me, but I'm trying to like sit up because, like, as far as I'm concerned, my eyes are open, I can see the clock, I should be able to sit up, but I couldn't. I felt like a weight was pushing me down. And for a fucking half an hour I was laying in bed with my eyes open, watching the clock move, but I couldn't physically get up. Okay, and it felt like pressure, like hands were holding me down. So how I broke free was through that whole time. What I kept saying was in my head, because that's all. No voice would come out. Um, you know, you can't beat me because I'm a child of God and I belong to God, and you can't overpower me. Like, I'm stronger than you. And I'm having this whole conversation for a whole motherfucking half an hour. Went from 3 to 3:30. When that shit hit 3:30, it was like my body popped the fuck up. And I went running to my grandmother's room, and I told her, like, da 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 da. I was all fucked up and freaked out, you know what I'm saying? And when I told her what happened, she was like, don't worry. I want you to, yeah, right? So she says, I want you to take your pajamas off and I want you to put them inside out. And I want you to put your slippers in the sign of a cross. So, I went, ran, I fucking did the shit, put it on, put my slippers down, and fucking, went to sleep. The next day, she came with a chalice. Okay, for those of you who was in my ritual yesterday, y'all saw me with like a gold chalice that I was burning the incense in. She had one of those, and she was walking through the house, blessing the house with the incense. Now, I had never seen that shit before in my life, so I didn't know what the fuck that was about. But when she got to my room, I started to choke. Everybody else was like, it smells so good. So that's when she sat me down and she was like, that's called a witch riding your back. And they're coming to you because you're like a light bulb. And I was asking her, what does she mean by that? And she was like, for years, they've been with you. You just don't know that they're with you. And it made sense because On my mother's side of the family, I had an aunt. God rest her souls too. Her name's Sonia. She, yo, she was my favorite aunt in the world, like for real. Like, she was everything that she was socially awkward in some ways, but she was everything that my mother wasn't. Because, like, your mom's is like a disciplinarian, and not to say it wasn't that my mother was a bad mother, I'm not saying that, but she was very career driven. She's an Aquarius. She's about that, that paper, that coin, and making shit happen. And my aunt, she was a Pisces, so spiritual and shit, and like in tune with herself, and maybe a little wacky, but it was all in love. And I used to spend the summers with her every year. And I went to go see her for my 13th. And she bought me my first, matter of fact, I was 12. She bought me my first deck of tarot. We was in a bookstore. We always used to like to do strange shit. And she bought me a tarot deck, but it came with a map of where you placed the cards. And I was like a light bulb. Like, I was so lit up. Okay. And like I said, I was a problem teen. Like, you know, yo, I've been suspended mad times. I've been expelled. I've done some shit. But those summers that I used to spend with my aunt, they were critical for who I am today. You know, so there's a lot of people that added to who I am today. But those were the cues that there was something spiritual happening, but I didn't know. Now, as far as traumas go, none of us escape our journeys or our crosses to bear. You know, I, like many young women, you know, I honestly, if I were to be quite frank with you, I would say that it's probably more than half of the women that are walking around have this situation. But I was molested as a child, and the mind is a very protective thing. And in my case, I had completely blocked it, and I didn't remember till later. So I always had anger issues, and I had more than one form of abuse, and I had more than one abuser in my youth. Oh, thank you, Nelson. I had more than one abuser in my youth. So I had physical abuse. I had, like I said, sexual assault. Um, so I was dealing with multiple fucking traumas. But what it was is that the major trauma I didn't remember, right? So I was a fucking angry ass kid, yo. I was an angry ass kid, and on top of that, I felt different. And then on top of that, I felt a spiritual pull, but I didn't understand at the time that it was a spiritual pull. Okay? So when I tell you I fought everybody, I didn't even used to fight girls because I was like, like that's beneath me. I'm a boxer now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was so fucking bad. But really, what it was is that I had fucking problems. You know what I'm saying? And part of it was that I feel like everybody that was around me knew, but I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Because I was so little that I couldn't fucking remember. And I remember because I have two older adult children, and then I have a younger son, which we're going to talk about that too. But, I was already with their father, right? And we were having sex, as teenagers do. And I caught a motherfucking flash. And, I went to my family, and, people were denying things, you know, and I spent from the time of like 17 to about 23 fighting demons you know, because that wasn't, we're talking about now, we're talking about late 80s, early 90s. This isn't, TED Talk. You know what I'm saying? This was, if you think we're fucking dysfunctional now, we were even more dysfunctional then. So it wasn't like that was on Front Street. I didn't tell my fucking friends. My friends, we all were misfits. Like we all had, our own homes that had some crazy shit going on, and none of us ever used to like divulge that to each other. Like it was kind of unspoken that if we were together, some shit, basically had already put us in a situation that we knew that we came from a place that our backs was up against the wall. So it was unnecessary to speak on the trauma. You know what I'm saying? It already had binded us together. And I fought my demons for a minute, and it ended up, I ended up marrying my kid's father. Okay? Before they were born, we got married. We did it the whole, the whole traditional, per se, traditional way. And, you know, that marriage didn't survive that. There were, yeah, he was an asshole, and I was fucked up. I had a lot of fucking problems. So that marriage did, that shit tanked. But I had two fucking beautiful fucking kids. And when I look back now, I know that I set out in the world to create my own family, to create the love that I felt I didn't receive. You see, there's a lot of teenagers out here right now who are starting families not because they're ready for a family, but because they felt like they didn't have one. Because they don't have a place to heal. Okay, when you grow up in a space that, you know especially if you've been betrayed or um, abused in multiple forms, what ends up happening is that um, it's like Munchausen syndrome, right? Where you begin to rely on the abuser. You begin to um, rationalize why abuse keeps coming to you. Now, this is common for adults who go through this, right? But a child, a child cannot process that. In a child's mind, it's something with them. It's something wrong with them that this is happening to them. Okay? And when I left that marriage, it was my first, like, I still hadn't gone to therapy. I was trying to navigate the shit cold. Like, I didn't have anybody in my family really that I could go to or that would understand. And the people that I did have that would have understand, it would have caused a fucking war, which that happened too. I ended up moving out when I was 13. Then I ended up coming home again, but for real, like I was really on my own since around the age of 15. So even though I had a roof, uh, my needs were met by myself. I used to work one semester and cut the other semester and stack change. You know what I'm saying? I worked a lot of fucking jobs. I worked in a lot of stores in the village. You know, I made it happen. I worked the legal shit too. The only thing I said was I'll never lay on my motherfucking back. You know what I'm saying? I'll do whatever the fuck I gotta do to make ends meet, but I ain't doing that because I was too. Um, there's a thing with people with sexual assault. Some ends up using their body as a way to receive love, and I went the opposite way where I, pushed away that attention because I felt like it was negative or it was dirty. Um, so, Everything was straight but that. Like, oh, we're gonna go do this. That's cool as long as it ain't that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, I ran with mostly dudes. I went through a lot of shit. I lived in Harlem. I had a gang tell me they were gonna throw a party at my house. For y'all ladies who don't know what that means that they finna try to run a train on you. Okay? I had to fucking threaten them, like for real. Like, oh, what time y'all think y'all coming through? Okay. When y'all do that, when you knock on the door, I'm gonna light that bitch up. I'm gonna light it up. And then I'm gonna ask you who it was. Okay? And this, I'm living in Harlem with two babies by myself. 118th Street between First and Pleasant. Okay? I had a fucking slum landlord who didn't want to give me heat for 6 months, and I stayed in court fighting with him. This was all happening at the same time while I was trying to assimilate what I had remembered, and it was all fucked up. And I met somebody. He was a friend of mine's, and we ended up dating. And he became like an integral part of my, family, basically. And I remember this was 1994. I started taking some college courses. Like, it was the first time I was trying to do something for myself after I had found out everything. And, I was all fucked up in my head. Remember, my friends don't know what's going on. Like, I'm wilding right now. Okay, I was just wilding. There's no other fucking term for it. And I was going to be a physician's assistant. So I started these courses and shit, Turo College in Harlem. And I get through the first semester of the classes, and then the second semester is supposed to re-up. So I go, I file, yeah, I kept all that shit in, right? So I go and I file for the financial aid for the second semester, and everything goes through this that. Now you're supposed to come back to get your courses. Now, mind you, they already took my financial aid, so I get my courses. They're in no, Long Island. Long Island was where they had the other campus. Now, I didn't have a car. Hey, Jane. I didn't have a car. I didn't have, back then, the schools did not give you, free babysitting. Okay. I didn't even have the money. The only reason why I could afford to go to that college was because it was like 5 blocks from my house. So I could walk from my house to the college, put my daughter in the, sorry, hold on, my son is coming. Put my daughter in pre-K, which she was in like a half a day program. And my son was starting kindergarten at the time. So it meant that I had to be back by 12 o'clock. These classes, if I would have got home by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, was, crazy. That would have never fucking happened. And I remember feeling a level of disappointment that was not able to be put in words. Give me 1 second. Hey, Pop, how'd it go?
Awful.
You got tickets left?
Um, I don't even know what it was. It was just donations to like our athletic program.
All right. Well, I'll give you a donation too. All right. I'll see you later.
Surprised nobody came to your house, right?
Somebody did come here, but I told them I was going to give the money to you.
Oh,
But I'm doing a live.
okay.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Do you know who it was? Because if you did you say my name?
Those young kids.
Oh,
They weren't seniors.
well, like.
Pop, I'm doing a
Okay,
live.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, my son. But anyway, like I was saying, I felt a crazy level of disappointment with that shit. And I remember at the time I was living, with the guy that I was with at the time. His name was Mark. And I came into the house and I was so angry. And I think that all the rage just had popped off. Like it was that breaking point. Hey, Pink. And I broke every plate, cup, mirror in my fucking house. I put my hand through a window. And that was the day I knew that I needed help. Yes, indeed. We didn't have a plate to eat off of. And so I went to get therapy. So I was 23 years old when I started to get therapy. And it turned out that what I had was post traumatic stress disorder because I had been through a lot of traumas as a child, many forms. And that's what was wrong with me. And then there was the shame of realizing that because at that time that was not seen as it is today. Okay, so you couldn't tell people that you had that. So I lived in the shadows of that for a long time, and I didn't want people to know. And I wouldn't take medicine because I felt like this wasn't like a um an imbalance per se, right? This was done through events that had happened, and I felt like I could come to a point where I could control it. Now, what I didn't understand was that spirit and what was happening to me was converging. Okay, and this is why I'm talking to y'all now. Because when this colleague put up the post about her children and their illnesses and how that has, you know, um, basically structure her life or put her life on certain patterns, it clicked in me that all all of the fucking things, not just one or two, all of the things were to bring me here. And I'm gonna explain further so that you could understand. See, all like when my grandmother was saying those things and all the little things that I was having happening to me, I couldn't get it. Like I didn't understand that there were synchronicities and there were things that were being shown to me. First off, I was manifesting my whole entire life, but I didn't know that I was manifesting because in my reality, I felt that what I was doing, everybody was doing. So if I believed like, oh, tomorrow, I'm gonna make such and such happen for me, I thought that everybody could do that. I didn't know that that was a gift. I thought that everybody's mind worked like that. I thought that everybody heard things. I didn't know. See, that's the thing. When you're born with these things, you think it's natural. And it only becomes, and it is natural to you, but it only becomes clear to you when other people bring it to your attention that they can't do that. And then that's when the light bulb goes off, right? So back to the gentleman that I was living with, he actually was born in a family where they practice a lot of spirituality. And he actually was one of those kids that used to give a cigar to and he would talk in front of, you know, a misa. He'd be in front just prophesizing, you know, and speaking in tongues and shit. But when I met him, I didn't know anything about that. And we lived together for a long time and we ended up getting married. But by that time, I couldn't have any children because I always suffered with endometriosis and other issues that are autoimmune disease, but I really believe they stem from trauma, okay? In other words, your body creates illnesses to kind of let you know that there's something going on, and I didn't know at the time that that was what was happening. Now I understand it more. Anyway, I married this gentleman, and we ended up adopting a child together, my 17-year-old. This is when it gets a little deep, y'all. So this was we got married in 2000. and we started the procedure of adoption in 2004. So it took almost 2 years for my son's adoption to go all the way through. And just as we were getting ready for, I want to say, the last 4 months of that adoption, my husband got very, very sick. Very sick. He collapsed at work and they took him to the hospital and they found out that he had leukemia, okay? Acute myeloid leukemia. Survival rate is dismal. He was 32 years old. I was 35. You are never prepared to hear that message, okay? I remember sitting in the doctor's office and exactly, Nelson. And when the doctor said it, I fucking threw up. Like I had to get up out the room and get out because I felt sick. And we started a procedure of like trying to get him a stem cell transplant and chemotherapy, radiation, 9 months of torment. But while this was happening, I was also trying to adopt a child who was born on drugs, okay, who had a severe, clubfoot and needed surgery, and also had a tendon that was too short. So he needed that elongated so he would even be able to stand up ever. Um, and he was on the spectrum because, what she had done while he was, in utero. And so I was getting him 32 hours of therapy a week when the shit happened with my husband. Okay. So it's like a full time job. I have dedicated myself to the wellness of this child. And then my husband gets diagnosed with leukemia, a form of cancer. And the doctor is saying, like, the chances are slim. So we set off on this journey, and we had like 4 months left on the adoption. And my husband would sign himself out of the hospital and take his IV bag and put it in the hoodie of his sweatshirt like this and go to court for the fucking adoption. That's thug life. I'll never, ever have a harsh word to say about that man. As far as I'm concerned, he walks on water. Okay? And the adoption went through on March 30th, and my husband died August 19th. August 19th. This August 19th will be, um, what it'll be now? 2006, so 15 years. Okay? So when I should have been celebrating the happiest time of my life of adopting my son, you know, it was coming to the realization that now I had, my son who had illnesses, my daughter who was a sophomore in high school and was just getting her first boyfriend, and my son who was a senior in high school, and I was going to have to start, college. Okay, so I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. My mother's house had burnt down 2 years before, and I had moved home to try to help her rebuild. Like, she had a two-family, and I had taken the other apartment to help her rebuild the house. And all of a sudden, everything was crazy. And the only way that I could think of was it didn't seem like the doctors were helping my son. And I met a man who was, he was into African traditional religion. And he said, your son, what he has is some spiritual issues that need to be addressed, but he could be normal if you do the work now. And so I was like, okay. And I threw myself in 100%. And everything that he needed, they told me, you have to have it first. He can't have it before you because, spiritually speaking, he would be the head of the house. You wouldn't be the head of the house. So everything that he needed, I had to get done to me first. Okay. So what ended up happening was, and this is why I'm making this testimony, because I want y'all to understand why you should entrust me and why I know when I tell you something, I'm telling you out of my experiences and what the shit that I've been through and the shit that I've seen and the shit that I was taught. Spirit tricked me in the best way possible. Okay? So what it was is I was supposed to have this spiritual journey. And I was going through so much shit that I couldn't see that I needed the spiritual journey. So I was the person that didn't want to go to spirit to even ask for something for myself. Like I would pray for others and make shit happen for them, but I wouldn't pray for me because I felt like that's selfish. Like I guess I felt unworthy, you know? And so they said she ain't gonna come on home. She ain't. She out there going through all this shit. The only way we get her to come is if we give her a child and the child needs it. Then she'll fucking do it because it ain't for her. She'll do it for them. So we're gonna give her something so that way that will open her to this, and then she'll do the work. And I did. My son, I made Spirit a promise. I said, Spirit, if you allow me, I'll do all that you command. Just let my son be well by the time he goes to kindergarten. And I did that shit. Okay? I did that shit. I did everything spiritually that I could do. I did so many. Listen, I'm not even gonna get into all the fucking details, but know that I'm a gangster when it comes to this shit. Okay? And and it worked. My son was normal, and then my husband died, and I went through some more shit, and I had to take a fucking break. I had to like check the fuck out from spirituality, from everything but momhood, because and let me tell you, spirit tricked me like that again too, because I'm gonna keep it a buck, and I'm in a relationship presently and love him very much. Don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's not my soulmate. We have many soulmates. My husband was my twin flame. You know how hard it is to know that your twin flame is gone. I want you to think about that for a moment. It's not a question of if. Okay. And so spirit knew that I would have quit. I would have wanted to go with him if I didn't have my son. See, because the other two were fucking big. They were about to go out on their own fucking journey. If I didn't have that baby, but he was legacy for him, and I couldn't break that fucking promise that I made at that side. So that was another way that spirit got me to stay on my path. Okay? And then I went through some shit like, the ascension stopped for a while. I think because I blocked it, because I was fucked up and my heart hurt, and I felt the weight of the world, and I had, by that time I had two fucking kids at college at the same fucking time. Okay? I was going through a lot of shit. I was going through and I'm giving y'all the synopsis. I'm not even like I'm I'm skipping over a lot because we can't be here for fucking ever. But I took a long motherfucking break. And December of 2019, um, after he passed, I spent 6 months drinking hard as hell. I drank hard as hell. And I'm known to have like a hollow leg. Like I could drink, I've drank men under the table, like cold pass out. So when I say I was drinking, I was fucking drinking. But there's only but so much drinking that you could do. But December 2019, I started to get these ascension headaches, and it felt like a beam of light on my head. I was having a lot of problems with my current partner, who was the first partner that I dated since the death of my husband. So he's the only person I've been with since my husband passed away. And we were going through a lot of problems. You know, my kids were having their individual issues. It was a lot going on, and I got sick, which I think was coronavirus. It was right, like it was right around the time when we were first hearing the cases in China, okay? And I have some people in the nursing industry who told me that a lot of the cases that happened in late December of that year, January and February, the people who were diagnosed with the flu were really diagnosed with coronavirus, but they didn't know because there was no test. Well, anyway, I had it for New Year's of that year, and I was fucking sick. I was running 103 fevers for more than 3 days. I was so bad. I felt like I was dying, and it caused a huge rift at home because we were away when this shit happened, and it just devolved into a situation. And I went through a major breakup right as fucking coronavirus, right as we were getting locked down, we broke up. But when you've been with somebody for 14 years, you don't throw them outside in a pandemic. So we were in the house together trying to make shit happen. Remember, none of us knew what was going to happen. How bad was it going to be? So we in the house together, but broken up. It was a horrible fucking experience. I went through so much. It was like reliving everything I had ever been through. Every trigger, every scar, every wound was reopened. I never felt so afraid. I also have PTSD, so just the idea of a pandemic had me fucked up, right? And I just, one day in February, I got up and I smudged the whole house and I told Spirit, remove anything and anyone that has to go for this pain to stop. And whatever you tell me to do, I don't care what it is, Spirit, whatever you tell me to do, if you can make this fucking pain stop, I'll do it. And then they started me showing me tarot cards in my sleep. And what they were saying is, bitch, you ain't been fucking doing your tarot for almost 10 years because your husband died. And we have a mission for you, and you didn't complete the fucking mission because your heart was broken. And so we're going to break your heart again so that you will run to what is most important to you. See how spirit works? So that we could prove to you that you in your heart fucking know where to come when you're in trouble. So we're going to make trouble happen for you so you can remember who the fuck you are. And that's what happened. And that shit was in the middle of February. And by May 1st, I had a YouTube channel and I was out there doing that shit because I promised Spirit, listen, whatever the fuck you want me to do, I'll do it. Just take the pain away. Just take the pain a fucking away. And as soon as I started to do that, everything started going right. And then, like, I want to say like a month later, I met somebody. Um, Her name is Iya Barbara. And I met her and I got a reading from her. And, you know, she confirmed what I already knew, that Spirit was calling me back. And I started working with her and I became her godchild. And she said to me, she started asking me questions like, you know, your outlook on what we all do is quite different. And I'm interested in that. She said, I actually do these Zoom calls with these other women. And I think that the information that you have would be so beneficial because like she's very gifted spiritually, but I'm into astrology a lot, and I had always been into astrology. I started doing birth charts when I was 28. I forgot to mention that. And I started following astrology around 25. Okay, I started tarot at 12, 13 years old. So these were all separate interests, right? I did not understand that spirit had put all these fucking things because they were going to converge. I didn't know that. I just thought, oh, I love this. Oh, I love painting. Oh, I love tarot. That I was weird, that I was interested into weird shit that none of my friends were into, right? And she asked me, she said, do you think that you could write something about what it is that you think about that stuff? And just give them kind of like a little like explanation of like manifestation and astrology. And I was like, oh yeah, I could put that together. I was like, how long, do I have? And she was like, 2 weeks. And I was like, okay. And I swear to you, I went to sleep and every night spirit was giving me crazy messages. The fucking downloads that I was getting, right? And I was calling my family, like I was telling my daughter, I feel pregnant with ideas through the whole coronavirus. I felt trapped in the house, but like I felt energetic, and then also I was suffering, and I had like this light that felt like a beam on my head. Like I felt like it was a lot to take in, and the 2 weeks were up, and I wrote a whole fucking 4-part seminar in 2 weeks that spirit gave me, and then the light bulb went off. Yes, 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 Pink. When you met me, those, I don't know which Zoom you were in, but this is when I came back in to spirituality. Okay? So, in essence, spirit forced me back, then gave me 2 weeks and implanted a webinar, a 4-part webinar, implanted the webinar in me so I could share it with y'all, so that I could give it to y'all, so that I could teach people to fucking manifest. Now, when I say that I've been manifesting all my life, remember I told you that I didn't get to finish college. I had little odd and end jobs, farmers markets, clothing stores, this and that. I own a house. I always stood home with my kids. I was a badass kid, so I didn't want my kids to come home and nobody be home, okay? And so I wanted to be home when they got home from school. So I didn't give a fuck what I had to do. But at 3 o'clock, I was in that motherfucking house. 5 o'clock, dinner was coming down. Okay. So I had been manifesting. I had been manifesting. Even, and I am not speaking ill about my husband, but he was not the most driven in the beginning, the first years, because he had his own traumas, and we were healing together, right? So I did a whole year of not eating till after dark. I did that, fasting every day, won't eat till after dark for him to get a good job. I did it for a year for him to land a good job. Okay? I was manifesting and did not know. I had read the Bible 3 times from front to back. I had read the books of Constantine. I had read so many things about different religions. I did not know that that was part of my blueprint, that this was all going to be part of the lexicon of information that spirit was going to have me give to y'all. See, because those of you who've taken my course know that what I speak about is divine truths. See, the theories that I put in there, they have to appear in more than one form of spirituality or I won't use it. Okay? So that's because I feel like that's the common theme. When you have more than one culture, more than one society come to the same conclusion, then you know that that shit is real. Right? So I put all these pieces together and basically built my own. There's plenty of people out here who have their own methods, right? But God blessed me with a specific method as to how to bring in manifestation. And like I said, I thought that everybody could do that. I never realized that this was something that was given to me. But once I figured it out and I put that webinar together, I felt like that was the thing all along. And I'm gonna go further. I feel like Spirit wants me to do tarot, yes. Spirit wants me to do the love readings, but really what they want is for me to do spiritual growth readings. Really, what they want me to do is use the tarot to bring people to learn how to manifest because that's what they want me to share. Okay? Because, like I said, I didn't know that I was manifesting all along. Okay? So, yes, I feel blessed for not only the gifts that Spirit has given me, not only my home and all these things, but I'm blessed for the challenges. Everything that I said to you, okay? Because all, the compilation of all those events made me not only who I am, but made me able to come on this platform and help other people who are maybe presently in some of the situations I was in then and help them. Okay? So that was basically what I wanted to share with y'all tonight. I don't know if any of y'all got questions. I'm thirsty as hell ever since the Lions Gate. Anyway, I just wanted y'all to know that the things that I tell you or the things that I give you, I've done them. I do them. I live this. Okay? I'm not I didn't take a fucking thank you, Nelson. Um I'm gonna keep it fucking a buck with y'all. I ain't take no fucking tarot course. Okay? I didn't take no, what the fuck is the name of that? Biddy tarot and shit. Like where you go and I didn't take no biddy tarot. Like Spirit taught me this shit. Spirit taught me this shit. Some of us born into this shit. Okay, that's why those are those people who know me personally, who work with me. They know I don't give a fuck about no people doing black magic to me. I've had black magic done to me. Okay, I've had people try to kill me. I've had people put the fucking root on me. I've had all that shit. You know what that shit does for me now? It caused me a delay. I might get a fucking headache, okay? Don't play. Shit gonna cause me a delay and aggravate me. That's what the fuck it's gonna do. It's gonna aggravate me, piss me the fuck off. Exactly, Nelson. This shit. Now, I'm not knocking no fucking body. Yeah, you do you, boo boo. Okay, but what I'm doing here, I really live this. Okay? I really live this. Like, I was talking to my son, and he was in the ritual with us with the Lions Gate. And he was like, Mom, that ritual is so tame. I was like expecting, I was like, yo, it's YouTube. Okay? And that's real talk. All right? So I just wanted y'all to know. And listen, for those of yous, who might have gotten a reading with me here or whatever, you know, my private clients know. Like I really be there for them. Like if they text me, maybe I'm recording or something, but I come through. Like I'm not one of those one and done. You buy something from me and then you never fucking hear from me again. Because I'm invested. See, because if I'm teaching you how to manifest, I want you to be a manifestation master. And not only that, I want to take it to another level. I want you to be a manifestation master. Listen, I want to be the Oprah of manifestation masters. Okay, I want to be like, you be a manifestation master, you be a manifestation master, you be a manifestation master, and then we'll make a group. And then when we do rituals, we blow the motherfucking roof off. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Don't let me get, listen, I've already taught like 50 people to manifest, okay? But don't let me get like a little group where what? Stop playing with me, okay? This is my goal, that we all grow together. This is my goal. So if you feel like I resonate with you and you want to go on this manifestation journey together, we could get it. I'm for it. And you'll never have a more loyal bitch on your squad than me. Okay? Cuz that's how I move. My people will tell you that I'm always there for them. And we're going to make it happen. Because I'm a firm believer that this channel, yeah, I know that I get people that come through and they just, they want to hear about Dali Fulano who broke up with them and, all the stupid shit. Yeah, Taurus is my most loyal. But I'm really here because we're going to make a spiritual army, y'all. We are. And I know this. And I speak it into existence. All right. And listen, I don't, I don't boast. I don't, you know, so a lot of people have told me like, why the fuck you don't tell people, like, because I don't like to do that. You understand? And maybe another day we'll do some boasting together. Okay? But for today, I just wanted y'all to know where it is I come from and that we ain't that different and that you could do what I do. You know what I'm saying? That we could do this shit. We could do it. And I'm sorry to hear that, Nelson. And I'm glad to hear that you've been on this journey with me for a while. Was we all gonna grow? That's one thing I could promise you. We all gonna grow. Yeah. So that's my little story, y'all. I left out some of the, the gory details, but some shit gotta be for the book. Some shit gotta be for the book, and ain't everything for the tube, but for the gram. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you this. I know I'm sitting here like talking about it like it's toast or whatever, but me too, Pink. I'm glad we got connected too. But this wasn't easy because I'm a mad private person. Most Tauruses are. Like, they'll tell you what they want you to know, but nothing more than that. Okay? Um, we private as fuck. But I felt like if we gonna take this spiritual journey, and if you guys can, call me and entrust me and ask me to do readings and rituals for y'all, you should know why you can trust me. You should know why I speak the way I do. You should know why, I'm here. You know? So I just wanted y'all to get a piece of where I'm coming from and understand. But Nelson, y'all not the grasshoppers, because one thing I learned in this spiritual journey is that you never look at somebody who has less training as you as less, because they could have a whole other gift than you that's in another area, and they could be teaching you while you teaching them. And that's my philosophy. So I don't feel like the people that I work with are under me. Do I know that I'm there to lead them in some form? Yes. You know, I don't want no hard-headed ass students, obviously. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that they're not going to teach me something. So never feel like it's an uneven exchange, okay? Because you guys' energy helps me to know that I'm going in the right direction, okay? So I thank you guys too for being there, because that helps me to fine tune what I'm supposed to be doing. All right, so we all on this journey together. Okay, so I've already talked for like an hour. I'm sure y'all fucking sick of this shit, but yeah, we'll do this shit again. We'll have our little chats, But I just wanted y'all to know why it is that I am the way that I am, and why it is, you can do your work through me. All right. So I just want to say thank you to my returning subscribers for coming through and spending a little time with me. And if you're a new viewer and you felt I resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and comment, as I love to have you as part of the Lovely Soul family. And I'm wishing y'all light and love and blessings on blessings.